Tebori. You've heard about it. Lately, the requests just keep coming. People flying to Japan just to get it done by hand. But here's the strange part. Japanese people, they barely get Tebori. Westerners, they are the ones obsessed with it. The people who invented it barely use it. The people on the other side of the world can't get enough of it. You know why? I've been doing tattoo 16 years, Korea, Japan, now in US. And today, I'm going to break this whole thing down. Konnichiwa, Yoshi desu. Tebori, it means carving by hand. No machines using tool called nomi. Multiple needles bundled onto the wooden or metal hand, pushed directly into the skin by hand. Machines push needles straight down dozens, hundreds, thousands of times per minute. Tebori is a person pushing the needle into the skin by hand at an angle with the rhythm. This one, difference is the starting point for everything we've covered today. This is the question that comes up the most when you search online. Is Tebori more painful than machines? Let me give you the answer first. In my experience, Tebori hurts less. But here's where everyone gets it wrong. Oh, so Tebori as a method is just naturally painless. No. The old Horishi, the old schoolmasters had way less understanding of body structure back then. So they often push it too deep. Not for everyone, but usually. And going deep obviously hurts more and causes more trauma to the skin. But now, younger Horishi like me, we work with updated technology. We go way shallow, way more precise. But not everyone too. So here's a clean answer. Get it from a skilled modern Horishi, and it hurts less than machines. The catch is just this: Tebori is not naturally painless. It's the Horishi that make it that way. This is another thing float around online. Tattoo done with Tebori had a darker, longer lasting color. In my experience, yeah. But let me be careful here. A skilled artist on a machine gets great color too. So this isn't hand-beat machine. It's about why hand tend to hold color. And the reason is naturally really interesting. Machines, especially in the hands of a beginner, damage gets it way too easier. So blood pushes the ink back out. It looks like skin is spitting it out. The beginners see that and think, ink's not going in. I need to push harder. You see the problem. I was too. Push harder, more damages, more ink loss, worse result. A vicious cycle. Tebori really has it. And one more thing, most Tebori artists use powder ink. It comes out different from pre-mixed or liquid ink. That has an effect too. Search it and it's all there. 200, 300 an hour, sometimes 500 or more. A full sleeve can run a few thousand to tens of thousands of dollars. Take several times longer than machines. Based on my own client, same thing. The numbers online are pretty much accurate. But what I actually find interesting isn't the price, it's who willing to pay this money and this time. And here's the funny part, Westerners living in Japan are more obsessed. It's not that living in Japan makes them more obsessed. It's simple. If you are in Japan, you can actually go find the real Horishi and get it done. Demand is high, supply isn't there. And honestly, that's the problem in the West. Real Tebori artists are almost impossible to find, and almost nobody explains this stuff in English. That's the gap I'm trying to fill here. If that's useful to you, hit subscribe. This is something people in industry all know, but most regular people don't. And that 100 hand-carved Tebori on someone's arm you saw on Instagram. Most of the time, The line were done with the machines and 100% done by hand. That's actually not much. That's actually fantasy. Most of the time, lines are done with the machines and shading or color is done by hand, a hybrid. I do that too. Because when I draw a line with the short nomi I use, since the tool is small, it pokes the same spot more times. That tears the skin like a machine would, make the results messy. So for lines, a machine works better, for me at least. Yeah, I make my own tools, usually wood and stainless steel. Stainless is trending now for hygiene reasons, but it's heavy, so I'm not a fan. Some people buy ready-made ones. Handle material range from horn to wood to ivory. There's a full stainless ready-made version too. I prefer the short nomi. I can work holding like a pen without standing, taking a high posture. Hand finger goes up, but I'm strong and heavy built, so working without putting my weight into it is more comfortable for me. And for needles too, I solder my own configuration and sterilize them in autoclave. Every artist has their own preference for needle setup. Think about that for a second. An artist built his own tools by hand for years. That right there, that's part of why it pulls people in. Hold that thought. This is the real core of it. Most Japanese people don't really care if it's machines or Tebori. Design and skill matters more. To Japanese people, Tebori is expensive and the artwork can even come out lower quality than the machines. It's just inefficient, an old, slow, inconvenience way of doing things. To them, it's just an old tool from their own backyard. Nothing special. Why do you choose the slow, expensive version of something? The question from the very beginning. Let me give you an analogy. A Japanese person sees cowboy boots, cowboy hat, and goes, "Oh, that's so cool." To me, too. To an American, that's just old farm gear. Nothing special. But to the Japanese person, it's the Wild West. A freedom, a whole vantage, like a flip it around, samurai, ninja, Tebori. Old, slow, inefficient stuff. But to Westerners, it's honor, discipline, ritual, a whole world they don't have. It's the exactly same thing. Both sides are bored by the old, inefficient stuff in their own culture and fall in love with the same kind of thing in someone else's. That's what I love the country like cowboy things. That's why Tebori in the West isn't a tattoo method anymore. Ritual, not practical, ceremonial. This, the stuff underneath the tattoo, is the whole reason this channel exists. If you are into it, subscribe. There's nobody else doing this in English. Looking at my own clients, younger people are getting more into it. And I think it's a retro trend. The digitalization. Think about it. They said ebook would kill physical books, but physical books sell more than ever. MP3s kill the CD. Streaming plays anywhere. But vinyl is selling more. The more convenience technology gets, the more people carved the inconvenient, raw, old way. Tebori is the exact same thing. The slowest, most human way to put ink in skin. So here's where I land. Western clients aren't really chasing a tattoo. They're just chasing a word that isn't there. The honor, the ritual, the slowness, the thing their own culture doesn't hand them anymore. We want what we don't have. We romanticize what's far away. That is a real engine here. But don't read this as my analyzing Westerners, because we do the exact same thing. A Japanese guy spending a fortune on cowboy boots Here's where twice. Same engine. A Korean kind of obsessed with old American denim. Same engine. So if you ever want ink that means something, maybe what you're really after isn't the needles. It's just word on the other side. And honestly, that's beautiful. If that landed with you, I always know, subscribe and let's keep going down this rabbit hole together. お疲れ様でした。